All right, hey folks, we're gonna. I'm back from the hospital again. Thanks to everyone that reached out to me. I had a leg infection, and so I had to get it taken care of. So it's taken care of. I'm back in the saddle. We're gonna do some Eberron art. I can only do about an hour at a time right now. So I'm gonna check my signal here, kick through my intro, and let's just get back into it. So hold on here real quick. Let's just get back into it. So perfect. Fantastic. Okay, great. And so, I'm going to press a bunch of buttons here and just go through my intro spiel while I do it. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements that I publish online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for the past few years. There are a slew of links in the description down below to other D&D work that I've produced previously. They're all free preview, so you can open them up if you're a D&D enthusiast. Check out this stuff if you think it's cool. Jump on board, make some purchases if you think any of it's worth having in your campaign. Otherwise, you can support the channel by, let's see, beep, arrangement, there. You can follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. Yes, I'm still on Twitter. Who knows what'll happen. And otherwise, follow me, like, subscribe. Thanks a lot for the like. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notifications. I'm here 5 days a week on YouTube at Phil Kearney. This book cover we created around episode 40. Hey guys, how you guys doing? I am better now, Nitro. Thank you. I got a leg infection from a cut. It was I can't remember the name of it offhand. Anyway, but there was it's whatever a normal skin infection is, and it was blended in with a little bit of staph. So I had to go to the hospital and stay in bed for a couple days there while they pumped an IV into me for a while. And once that recovered, I was able to come home. So I'm back, and so I was gone basically all weekend, Friday through the weekend. Hold on, I'm going to set my timer here so I can get things kicking. But yeah, I can only do about an hour off of my back at a time right now. I keep my leg like propped up, so all the blood keeps draining out of my leg, so it'll take the infection away. And I take about 2,000 milligrams worth of antibiotics per day, and I do that for a week, and it should kill off the bad. So we'll hopefully see that's true. But I've had infections before, and so far I survived them all. So they'll catch me eventually, I'm sure. But until then, heal up, suit up, get back to work. So here I am. I really, really missed painting. I wish I could figure out how to paint on a tablet. I just can't. So that's kind of a pain in the ass. Oh, that's right. We are currently coloring the. This is the oracle for the Church of the Silver Flame. Her name is Rimhilda Derica. So Rimhilda Derica is a diviner. She has caught sense of a looking for something suitable. She caught wind of a Mabar Manifest Zone, a massive upspike in evil in Karnath, and she has she brings it to whomever the authorities are in these circumstances, but brought it to his attention, and then they distribute a SWAT team, your characters, to go find out what the problem is, alien style, go find out what the problem is and go kill it. So that's that is the adventure. I'm checking to see. I feel like I've gone mad. That's right. I already grabbed samples for clothing and stuff. Cool. And I just naturally picked the same general sampling. So that's cool. Okay, great. I'm catching up. I'm a little off my game right now, so just catching up with myself. And beep beep. I feel like there's something. I'm just going to get rid of it because I can't figure it out. All right, there we go. Okay, so get to work. Oh, I was supposed to set a timer, did I? Yep. You tell I'm a little off. I have some herbal tea. Hey, Dungeoneer's back. How you doing? How's the Reaver coming along, Josh? This should be underneath the hair. Underneath the hair. Boop. We'll go to here. Hair. Josh has been streaming the development of his next class design. He did the Luchador on stream as well, and now he's developing the Reaver. I honestly don't know enough about it to comment on it yet. But mad props to find more things to build classes into. I admire that. I get a Greek vibe off of the Church of the Silver Flame. I don't know why. Something about it just feels very like Athens, and I don't know, like I don't know how it's supposed to be, but I imagine each province within its nation basically. I mean, it's a theocracy, so basically it's your command of a region is going to be based on your position in the church. So higher up figures in the church gets a larger land. That's a really easy path to give characters domains, by the way, by having them like enthroned, having them gaining rank as they gain levels, and that allots them a larger property or maybe a smaller property but located closer to a large community hub. So, there's words everywhere. Brick walls come and go, my friends. That's part of the fun. So, going to take a small break. Excellent. Probably work on the next luchador. Excellent. I'm trying to fix my window positioning here real quick. And Nitro, what's up? I made some NPCs. I have working for them under order to make sure no one knows the Silver Flame got involved in Karnath. I mean, it's your campaign, guy. That sounds awesome to me. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. If the Silver Flame is seen operating SWAT style inside of Karnathi, that's going to break a shitload of rules that they just built in their accords. So you'll restart the last war. It'll be the next war immediately. So yeah, you got to keep that shit under wraps. And you can play that up as much as you want. Like if magic that you use is obviously like labeled or like has like if you use descriptive magic and all of the Silver Flame magic is distinct as from the Silver Flame, like everything is silver or flames or both, or like radiant angels infest the region when you cast area effect spells or stuff like that. You know, like that stuff that people love to gush over when they think about being a narrative player. You can use that against them because if they use that magic in Karnathi out in the open among people that they don't necessarily know their intents, they're exposing the team to risk. So they have to start making hard choices about how are they going to keep themselves capable of using magic without exposing use of that magic in an area where it's illegal to use that magic. So there's a really, really fun opportunity to really hamper them during the social and exploration challenges that are inside of the adventure, especially when they're interacting with the mercenaries, because the mercenaries they're veteran Karnathi warriors. They have killed God knows how many Thrainish warriors. So you are going to they have to be super careful when they identify that. I'm glad you asked, because that's super fun. Super, super fun stuff there. And by the way, we are making notes about having different number of creatures attack the village based on whether or not the team has access to area of effect spells. So that was a really keen observation, and considering the size of area of the battlefield where they can potentially drop large AoE damage spells without hampering anybody or getting any innocence in the crossfire, it's definitely worth noting. So that was valuable feedback. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But if they have them, and the goal, again, they're on a long rest anyway, so they're going to get their resources back. So you can afford to hit them with whatever they've got on like they show up in town, they're basically doing a social encounter. They're doing a shitload of social encounters and exploration type challenges in the village with no risk of combat. So they can literally just keep their entire clip available to them until the night when the zombies attack, and if they have an AoE guy on the team, you can let him just burn shit down. He'll fucking love it. So I think you said that your team didn't have any AoE people, so it was difficult to manage that many bodies on the board, and I think that's a very viable complaint. So every time I ran through it, I always had like a sorcerer and a warlock, or a wizard and a cleric, or like 2 paladins and a druid. It's just like there was a shit ton of mana being thrown around at anything that they came across. It's like, it was dope. Honestly, it was pretty damn dope. And so it was fun just throwing trash mob. Yeah, just fun. But yeah, about that magic, man. Yeah, your team, if you really want to fuck with your team, make that a thing. Like, I am not a big role-playing... Like, as a DM, I'm very third person. Very, very, this is what you observe, this is what you see, this is what you think they're thinking. Like, if I stay in that third person, I can do more stuff with like telepathy and intuition and like that whisper in your head sort of thing. I just like operating from that space because I can use that same character, that same point of view and narration in social exploration and combat pillars, so I never have to change the style of conversation that I use when I'm engaging with the players. So I'll occasionally throw in voices if my intuition takes over and I just start talking. Like, sometimes seriously, I'll just channel a weird voice. Like, I have no idea why I'm voice acting, and I'll say that to my team. I was like, I don't know why I'm voice acting this guy. He's literally just whatever it is. It's like, but I was inspired to do it, but most of the times my teams love it. So it's rare, so it doesn't get boring, and it immediately changes the engagement in the conversation because they're trying to figure out what voice, where am I referencing my voice from? Because I never just make up a voice. I'm always stealing it from something, I guess. Because I don't ever expect to do it when I do it. So it always catches me off guard. I'm like, God damn it, this goblin has a special voice. He's going to end up being a thing, whether I liked it or not. And like, that's half the time. That like half of the sidekicks that the team have picked up in all my campaigns is because I've accidentally given them a special voice and spoke from first person for some crazy reason. They would like immediately would adopt that guy because they know the more they had him around, the more they could get me into doing voice acting. You guys are bastards. But I like that third person narrative, obviously. I just think it's me not having to change my style of conversation means that I don't have to make you feel like you're switching some sort of a massive gear when we move from social into combat because somebody mouthed off to someone. It's just like, okay, great, make your attack roll. It's that smooth. I don't need an initiative roll. It's like, hey, take a swing at the guy. And then I can stay casual in my conversation through that process all throughout, because I do group initiative, all throughout the entire combat. It's like, what do you guys want to do? And I actually treat exploration as the same way as group initiative. You can only do one thing at a time. Like the group has to spend, like, typically it's 10 minutes. You spend 10 minutes doing something. If you don't tell me your character is doing something, they literally are not doing anything for 10 minutes. You're just fucking around. That's when your social interaction happens. These 10-minute blocks where you don't want to, like, it's like, how did my characters get to a point where they're willing to die for each other? It's because every time we take an action in the exploration, you have 10 minutes to bullshit with each other, make fun of each other, learn backstories about each other, all that filler content that you can choose to journal or engage with when I'm fucking around with dice or whatever you want. Like sometimes I have to do a bunch of yes/no questions to know what the next move is going to be, because I didn't buffer an option in my world during the gameplay, so they catch me off guard and like, I have no idea what's going to happen from this. Let me roll the dice. I consult the bones and throw dice for a while, asking yes or no questions, basically playing Magic 8-Ball with my D20s, and so they know that it's going to be a few minutes, and sometimes I'll tell them answer by answer as we go along, because if they're doing like if they're researching a book and they're gathering information from the book, I'll be rolling the dice, and every time I get a yes/no answer, I'll tell them what that piece of information is, as though like they're reading through a book. And so I have to then throw the dice a few more times to get another answer, like, why was that king assassinated? I now have to go through the process of the dice yes-knowing to me why the king was assassinated, because I didn't know there was a king that was assassinated until they went into the library and started exploring shit, and the barbarian just grabbed a random book. It's like, what's in this one? I'm like, oh, apparently that's about the assassination of various monarchs in this nation over the past 200 years. It's like, okay. I'm like, okay, this is basically a hex crawl inside of your library, so let's go for it. And then, you throw out some random facts about shit, and so they have to sit there with you. And so as I roll the dice, like, yeah, that king was assassinated by his brother, for the classic reason of the brother wasn't chosen to be the king. Pretty simple stuff, but here's some of the fallout that came as a result of it, and then give them a quick little geopolitics story about what's going on inside of that nation, which may lead them into the fact that I wanted them to know in the first place. Like, they were there to, like, maybe find the floor plans to a castle so they could do a heist, right? So they have to go try to find some sort of information. They wouldn't find the plans in the library, but they might be able to find reference as to, like, other people that were assassinated by that king. Maybe one of them was a castle engineer. And if they can find where he's buried, then maybe they can go, speak with Dad and get some answers about traps that they think that they know from a map that they found in a thieves guild that had been buried underneath an earthquake avalanche, like collapsed underground tunnels where the lair was. It was buried. So they have to spelunk their way through, get to the place. They get the reference material. Now they're, this is an exploration. This is a typical exploration quest. So that's the kind of stuff that they get to do. So when they find the floor plans and they get at the dead, there you go. But so doing all that stuff, it's 10-minute blocks at a time. It might take an hour to get to where you need to go to in town. So that won't be, that'd be 6 blocks a time. So these blocks of time are spent having conversations with your characters in character, but not necessarily on camera. That's the dotted line that you see on Indiana Jones. Like they're obviously, playing backgammon and shit for 20 hours, getting drunk and having all the yoo-haws. But when they get off that plane, they're thick as thieves. They're willing to kill for each other. They're willing to die for each other, and you've built your team. By the way, if they landed there by plane, there could be a lot of crew aboard, and any of them could be recruited at any time to be replacement characters if your character gets killed. So that's how our table coped with high deaths back in the 2E days and 3E as well. It's just something we just gravitated to. Was if your character gets killed, it's an opportunity for you to play another character that you haven't had a chance to play yet. So be heroic, cycle through your characters through death as fast as you can for the Bloodlord. Die for the Bloodlord, raise a new character of heroics, and then move on to the new character. You don't have to keep the same character if you have a resource where you can pluck new characters from, which is why Spelljammer is the best campaign setting ever, because you're basically piloting a death platform from location to location to attack creatures way above your own CR and use the ship as a shield. And if your character happens to die, there's 15 other crewmen. That guy just happens to be a 7th level wizard. It's just, he was an apprentice. It's time for him to shine. So you can have a ship full of crew that are capable of doing cool crap like that. So Anyway, I'm like really on a lark today. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. What'd I miss? Yeah, no shit. Hey, Dreams. Yeah, Eberron fucking slams. I love it. My Eberron space opera, of course, uses both Spelljammer and the Eberron setting, which is awesome. Love it. Hair's good. Color. Boop, boop, boop. Let's go to face. Let's go here. Hold on real quick. Let me grab all this junk and get it set up the right place. That's going to be, no, I don't know. Let's call it a headband. That's an accurate term. Now we're dealing with clothes. Cool. Yeah, my Eberron, 40,000 years ago when Dalcor fused with the world. The only solution that the gatekeepers had was to detonate the core of the planet so that they'd be able to shunt it off alignment with the portal, so that the Dalcor wouldn't actually arrive on Eberron. The co-termination would be off sync. So they had to detonate the planet. So basically, all the shards would pass around where the manifest zone was supposed to be, and it fell into what was the detonated core, and that became the morning. So now there's wild storms that erupt from the core of the planet, and all the nations are asteroids that orbit at the surface level of what the planet used to be. And of course, there's all the planets out in the system that if you fly to them, they're actually portals that'll lead you into whatever plane of existence that moon represents. Like Shagath, I think, is the name of the moon that leads you to Mabar. It's a dark gray, and sometimes it just turns black. And when it turns full black, then you could fly through it and actually go into Mabar with your Spelljammer ship and rat-tat-tat, have some fun with demons. So that is what you would call a Silver Flame Crusade in a space opera campaign. It is a pilgrimage of pain. So all the Carnathi have like Voltron-style carrier ships that have skulls on the front, and all the fighter ships that come off of them are basically V-wings with a skull instead of a pointed nose. They're hardcore. I'll show you guys the illustrations someday. But and then different pirate factions have different types of boats, like squids and refresh. One of the pirates, like the fourth pirate of Lazar, has nothing but hammerhead ships. The sixth pirate of Lazar has nothing but only has like squid ships. Another one only has tradesman ship. Another one only has mosquitoes and wasps. So all the insect and fish ships are divided amongst the various pirates. So you can tell which pirate's coming at you based on what ship they have. And, and Droam uses all the spider ships that the Neogi would normally have. What else? The nation of, or the island of, what's it called? I'm blanking. It's where all the jungles with the lizard folk. In my campaign, that's where all the dragonborn come from, which are a type of. There's kobolds, lizardmen, dragonborn. Those are the three ranks of them. And in the Spelljammer setting, the closer to the sun a lizardman's egg gestated, the more intelligent it would be, and it would be imbued with psionic powers. So, like Scaran in Farscape, they were super smart and super fucking dangerous. You do not want to get in a fight with one of them. They have tail weapons and they can use sonic blasts, all sorts of nasty shit. So in the Planescape campaign, Kabara, thank you, the Kabarans, they actually, instead of flying closer to the sun, which is still in orbit out there, instead, what they do is they build these brood ships and they drop them down closer to the morning. So not only do they come out more intelligent, but they could be all sorts of different, like a basilisk. They could turn into all sorts of creatures, like any kind of simic hybrid kind of genetic engineering you want to do. They're capable of doing on those brood ships. So the Kabarns are super fucking bad news. You don't want to mess with them. And since they're all asteroids, people are on the side that faces away from the morning, so they can actually get a day cycle, so life seems normal. But once you dip down to the bottom side of the asteroid that faces the morning, that's where all your entrances to the Underdark are. And there's creatures that will flow from the Underdark into the morning. And of course, there's all the wild storms. The further down in area you get to the core of the planet, the higher level spell is in the storm. And every time, depending on the intensity of the storm, every round, every minute, every 10 minutes, every hour, there's a lightning strike close enough to affect you that you have to make a saving throw. And then if you succeed, it's just a spell. So you get hit by that spell, whatever that spell is, and I get to make up what the answers are. And then the team is basically affected by the spell until they get out of the storm. Unless it's an instant effect, then they have to suck the effect and hope that they survive it. And in a really intense storm, it could be every round that they have to deal with that stuff. So you get weather systems of just random stuff that will fuck their shit up. So it's a lot of fun. But you could also dive down in there hoping for a miracle that you could have your character true resurrected. If you can get close enough to the core, it's possible that kind of magic can be unleashed on your characters. So you can do a ritual to try to guide the dice, and there's all these things. Anyway, it's a super fun campaign, and I love that this time travel campaign that I've been running for the past with my lunchtime team. It's been literally 4 years now that we've gone from level 1 to 19, and during the campaign. They found their way into the morning, and their main antagonist is this night hag, and she goes into the morning and uses a ritual that when the lightning strike, when a storm brews up, she uses all of these kyber crystals to get hit by lightning, and it captures the spell inside of the kyber crystal. And she has all these twig minions that travel through the earth and then sprout up and then start running around on the ground. But they'll take these stones, these crystals, and they'll insert them into cairns inside of each hex. So as you're going through a hex crawl adventure, each hex has a different magical effect. The team has to get to the center of the hex and conquer the guardian that controls that kyber crystal. If they do, they can take control of the kyber crystal and use it themselves. They can detonate it or activate it once per long rest, basically. And since it's a time travel campaign, they reset every time they take a long rest. They reset back to the beginning of the day that started the campaign. So they have a shitload of one-shot stuff that they can go steal from the hag. But they found out how the hag makes it by spying on her. So they're trying to figure out how she does it, and they want to start doing that themselves, because it's just, I mean, they've been hit by tons of crap. Like lightning bolt spells have been locked in these things, disintegration, polymorph. It's an easy way for me to either just randomly dump something onto them, or since it's a hex crawl, and I like to do things Castlevania Metroid style, when they defeat that hex, they have unfettered access to that terrain, and I can choose what that crystal was. So now that you've defeated this lake hex, you now have a crystal of water breathing, for instance, or water walking. That'll then create different scenarios in the future that make use of those tools. So they feel smart that they conquered that particular hex, because now they have this resource available to them. But of course, a good DM will not care what is in that hex, and whatever the hex that is, that starts to build out what your third and your fourth tier of the game is going to end up looking like. So I get to play when the game is over. Game time for me is a performance and an information session, like its own little debriefing that they're living through in real time, not knowing the answers. But when they're finished, I have to update the universe. I have to buffer the world for their next adventure. So they're providing me the information to know what I need to sculpt the campaign into in future episodes. So the game always remains completely sculpted around the actions that they take, so they can feel the consequences of the actions that they take earlier in the campaign, so that they can take more seriously anything else that brews up in the future, knowing that they can't take care of everything. And whatever they don't is going to end up coming around and biting them in the ass when the train catches up to them. So because we were talking about Monster Train plot lines in our session this afternoon. So check the stream that was ran before this on my list, and you'll see me talking about the EverQuest days of pulling monster trains out of a dungeon, and how 20 level campaign, all the unresolved plot lines move like that train of monsters chasing the runner. And if you stop, you get hit by the mob and you're dead. And that's kind of how a campaign runs, that your character always has to be moving forward and resolving their own goals, because if they ever get like log jammed, the best way for a DM to derail the log jam is to have the train catch up. So now all these chips are getting paid in to start taking shots at the characters, because they killed this one boss. Now all his minions are out for blood. They're coming for the characters. And they found you because the players can't make a decision about what the fuck they want to do. So it's great. So they learn quickly that in that transition from second to third tier, when the gear shifts and the characters start calling the shot, so it happens in the game. They're ready for that, because as you continue hitting them with consequences to their own decisions, at some point it's just the game fills itself in, and that's a lot of times I'm very literal about it during the third tier session 0, where, hey, this is where we're at in the campaign. You guys are strong enough to basically conquer the world if you want to. I don't know what your actual objectives are. Do you have one? And then they can start calling the shots. And I just had that talk with them. It's like, because at this point you've accumulated enough enemies that people could be coming looking for you. So if you want to build domain and stuff like that, you want to think about the security. Where is it at? And you might want to check your dance card to see who you've wronged in the past, to see who might be out there looking for you. Because that's all stuff that could be used against your characters in the future. So if you've been in my campaigns for a couple of different games, you already know that's just going to happen. And it's just part of the culture of my particular table. But so that storm, I was talking about my Eberron space opera campaign, but we've been trapped in this time loop campaign. So there's been no, like, for the entire campaign they've been inside of basically a 40-mile area. Like, this is it. That's as far as they can get on foot during the one day that they have before the time resets and they go back to the beginning, back at the BART, the center of the circle. So they can only go so far. And since it's a Metroidvania, I don't give them teleportation or plane shift or anything that would allow them to teleport out of that space. I do give them flying creatures that can potentially get outside of the zone, but I didn't give it to them until the third act. Third tier. So at that point, they're so far into what's going on inside of this space, they didn't want to leave it. So if I want to control that sphere, I don't reward them. Now it's just a way for them to get to one area to another as like fast movement. They'll pop a summoning spell just so they can get to another hex in an hour instead of half a day. So but they don't want to venture out of it because there's so much crap going on inside the 24 hours that they have to resolve that they know it is here. Like, why would they go someplace else when they know the end of the world starts here? They just can't catch up to it. So the whole campaign has been them trying to get days ahead of the end of the world so they can take out whoever's going to do it so the world doesn't end. But they can never catch up. They can never get enough time to be able to pull it off. So they've been trying to build and grab time the whole campaign. And now they've taken a portal that takes them 5,000 years into the past. And when they reset at the portal. So they'll have to go back through the portal to the present day for them to be able to return to their original timeline, which they can at any time they want. But their current objective is 5,000 years in the past. That's where the magic of the world started to destabilize. That causes it to be destroyed. So they have to be able to figure out how to stabilize the energy so that when they get back to present day, the reverberations of that effect won't end up destroying the world. So the actual solution to the campaign is then, but all of the opposition that's trying to keep it in place is in the present. So once they shut that reverberation down, there's going to be a whole, but their train is going to catch up to them. So they're going to have to deal with the Illithid. They're going to have to deal with the Demon Hag. They're going to have to deal with the Beholders that they've been fucking with, the Shadow Dragon, what are they called? Formians, the Formian army, and then that's it. So just those 5 factions. So that stuff will start dumping on them, and we're here at 19th level. So if they can find a way to cut off those different opponents from the time stream they want to return to, they can make a clean cut of it. But they got to figure out how or when, and then figure out how to get to then at that place to be able to pull it off. So it'll be a slew, like maybe another, once they finish their current objective, they have like maybe 4 heists they got to pull, and that'll take them into 20th level. And then they'll be able to finish off the campaign having cut off all the enemies from the current timeline without it being destroyed. And then they can sever. They know how to sever themselves from the Groundhog's Day. It's just that if they do, they die. So they can't. They're trapped. So so they know that once they actually close everything down, they can sever their own connection and they can have the next day. So then that'll be the end of the campaign. And then we get to start our next Spelljammer campaign. So it's been a masterpiece of a campaign. This time travel has probably been the best campaign I've ever built. But it's only like an hour and a half once a week. So it's been about 280 hours of gameplay, but it's been spaced out over lunches over 4 years with my coworkers. So I don't have a weekly table right now. I do play in a Curse of Strahd game as a divine sorcerer. That's every other Saturday. And it's the only game I played in or have played in the past 5 years. So I'm very, very thankful. Some of my friends from back in the day, like my old DM buddies from back in the day, I was talking about them this morning. So go check out the previous episode. But so they're running. I'm in a Curse of Strahd game with them, and so far it's fun. We're all siblings. We all have the same mom with different dads. None of us know who our dads are. We Maybelline is our sponsor. We're all blonde, beautiful people, and we're all worth it. So we do Maybelline commercials, and like I did a soap pitch to a traveling merchant the other day. We have to do 1 per session, and we made that bargain to get an extra 200 gold pieces when we created our first level characters. We gave a piece of our soul away to get it. And it's Saloon. We all worship Saloons. We made a bargain with Saloon. She gifted us with a fortune, and in return, we tout her mystical products. It's fucking awesome. It's fucking great. Oh, right on. Nice. Curse of Strahd's fun. I'm enjoying it. Legit enjoying it. I grab here. I'm at 9:30. I've got probably another 25 minutes in me. God, it feels so good to be back. I die when I can't paint. It's the last of my herbal tea. I need to refill my water. I'm just going to pop here in a second, so I decided to take a sip early. And by a second, I mean 3 minutes and 50, 49, 48 seconds. Let's see. Let's grab, metal bit. Meep. Man, I've been rambling pretty good. What are we looking at over here? Going to murder you several times. He's running with dark gifts. Right on. That's great. I think that headwear is the same color as... I think... Oh, thanks, Nitro. Hold on. I think that headwear is the same color as their hair. Oh. Let's... Oh yeah, you're right. Huh. I completely fucked that up. Huh. Well, I don't mind making mistakes. Let's go back and fix it. Oh, god damn it. Now I know that color blotch was for her. That's for her hair. It's not for... Fuck. Yeah, it's not for the headband. Well, that's what I get. That's what I get. Oh, that means I fucked up the whole thing. Okay, cool. Well, no, this one's okay. Well, I'll just use this then. Is that right? No, I want to fetch. Let's fetch. Yeah, I'll pull from here. I derped that pretty good. Welcome to the world of the colorblind. Sometimes I fuck up. I would have completely missed that. Thank you so much, Nitro. All right, when morning light comes streaming, and get up and do it again. Amen. I'm gonna be a happy idiot. Suffer for the legal tender. Is that Dire Straits? I honestly don't know. We'll redo that. I should pay attention to my my team a little bit more. Nitro, you're a godsend. Thank you kindly. Sometimes I just fuck up. I think I can still finish it tonight. But I gotta stop in 20 minutes. I'm gonna hit my wall and I gotta go lay down for the night. Let the medicine do what it's supposed to do and get me back out and having fun. Yes! You're my 20-minute reminder. 20 minutes. Once I get all the basic shade and coloring resolved, I'll bind the line art into the color, and then I'll smooth in all of this as additional shadow and form. There. I need to make sure I remember to keep color references in the folder in the folder where they belong. Like that. That way I don't make that mistake in the future. There we go. We'll get back on track in a minute. Good enough. Good enough for now. Just gonna go all this stuff that's in colors. And then I can just do that again. It shan't be a biggie. I'm gonna actually Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. No, that's not the right thing to do. All right, sorry. I got my head screwed on straight now. Here we go. These are noblemen from Thrain, but I wanted to go with my own inspiration in designing the armor that this oracle would wear. Doesn't make sense for an oracle to wear armor, except that she's a paladin. Both of the ancients can use the silver flame as the ancients that guide them at their oath. So all your magic can be framed around spirits of, like quaddle spirits and stuff floating around the paladin, and like if you focus on divination and information stuff, you can have them speaking to your character. Some people connect to the silver flame through peaceful meditation process, like cloistered clerics, the scholarly sagely types. And then there's those that can only ignite the flame through risk and combat, and those are the crusaders, which are the clerics and the paladins. I like the idea, but I've never leaned into monks being part of the Silver Flame. I use a lot of, since key and spell points are all considered mana, I have mana batteries that get fed by X amount of mana per hour. Like I have different traps, if you would. They're not traps, but they're tricks, basically. Like you can't get through this door. You'll not only do you have to successfully pick the lock, but you also have to sacrifice 3 points of mana to be able to trip the circuitry to make the door pop open, so that you can get the bay door open. So it's mana taxes is because spell points are so flexible, and they allow casters to do so much. It's fun to implement things like that, requiring your characters to gain benefits by eating their budget to be able to activate different things. Like one of the adventures that I had was they had an airship that had a faulty engine. So for them to be able to use it to get to the top of a mountain from the base in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, they had to sacrifice 10 mana, and they're only 6th level at the time, which means they only had 12 mana each. Well, they had a warlock that only had 6 mana. They had a paladin who had 12 mana, and they had a monk that had 6 mana, and there was only 3 of them. So the monk burned all her mana, and then they took the short rest when they got to the top of the mountain so she could recover her mana. The paladin sacrificed some mana, and there was also a sorcerer there. That's right. So the sorcerer bore the brunt of the mana cost, which meant that he had to rely a lot on cantrips when they got to the top of the mountain to continue the adventure. They were raiding a mountain temple to stop a heist from stealing a magic, like a kyber crystal that held an elder elemental. That was, the mountain's actually a volcano, and if the elemental is freed, the volcano would awaken. So there's this huge fishing community that built up around this dormant volcano that has this monk temple at the top of it defending. They can't take the elemental away from the crystal without breaking the crystal, and it gets free in result. So they have to keep it at the volcano because it's bound to it as its spirit. But if they release it, it'll turn so they can keep it as they can keep it subdued and keep the volcano quiet while they contain the spirit. So this rogue warlock monk tribe, this school, thank you. So what it was is, at the time I was experimenting with warlocks are monks, or monks are warlocks with predetermined invocation lists that are all combat focused. Go see the Martial Powers project that I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, and we can have a conversation about that when I'm done with the Barbarian Giant conversion. But actually, I probably won't be able to get to it, but it's on my list of things to talk about. But so what it was is that it was this monk, it was this rogue house of monks that would basically steal techniques from other traditions, and they would convert them into invocations that they could then pass around and learn amongst their pact, which was their basically they had a demon of greed that was their patron, and it was a monk warlock tradition patron. So they were able to blend monk stuff with warlock stuff, and so they would go to different temples to try to steal power. So when the temple of the Frozen Heart got on their radar, they realized that if we free the spirit, we could barter with it to give us volcano, lava, fire powers. Who knows? Maybe even the ability to travel between worlds. Whatever it is, they wanted it, and they had to free the elemental from the crystal to be able to find out what it could give them before they would actually let it return to the volcano. And they had taken over the temple, and when the characters found out, it would take them half a day to climb the mountain because there was a blizzard, so slowing their progress down. Or they could take the jalopy spelljammer with a broken helm, and in 10 minutes they could get to the mountain. But then the thing's gonna burn out. So it's a one-way trip. And so the pilot parachutes out with a protection spell to be able to get back down without freezing to death, but basically leaves it to the players to crash into the side of the mountain. And they rolled really well in their piloting, so they got to the top of the mountain. Then they had to refresh they did the short rest so that the monk and the warlock could get all their mana back. So taxing mana, what a thing. This is Ramhilda Derica, who is the Silver Flame Oracle that caught sight of the manifest zone in Karnath that connects the world to Mavar, the plane of darkness and evil. So it's a high priority target for the Silver Flame, and they have oracles that basically just astral project and catch sight of what the dimensions are doing through the astral sea. And when one of the nasty planes is not where it's supposed to be, and in fact it's going to destroy our planet, then they take to arms. But since we were talking about this earlier, since it's in Karnathi, they can't if they use any of their magic, like if you're using identifying magic, like it's Silver Flame magic when you see it, they can't. They have to be careful about who they let see their magic while they're in Karnath, attempting to destroy this manifest zone. So it becomes a nice way to spike up the tension and challenge for the team while they are there. I imagine there's probably some sort of reference somewhere that provides the fashion of a Silver Flame Oracle somewhere in some book someplace, but I just like what I built, so I'm keeping it. Making it mine. It's mine. It's my island. I should probably tear out that plot train conversation from this morning and make it into a thing. That was a fun conversation. I spy with my eye something in its text. What? Yes, this is from 3rd edition. Yeah, the color. I'm at least borrowing the color palette, so I can do whatever I want with fashion, I suppose. If I'm not going to be completely hard boiled about like being ultra Eberron. Like all my Eberron shit is like so much not Eberron. You know, it's like I love everything in Eberron, but I don't give a crap about your politics. I don't care about. I mean, it's all awesome. If I bother to read any of it, it's awesome. But I mean, I'm running a space opera campaign. Most of that stuff isn't really relevant. Like I can take cues from stuff and build off of it, but I have to remix stuff so hard that it's kind of relevant. Like if it's local politics, it's still valid on your rock, but fly 5,000 miles that way over to Zalargo, and it's the tension between the two is probably going to change a little bit. Like Zalargo and Brayland are much less threatening if they're far apart from each other. They aren't. They're super close actually, but that's like for example, would be a good example. What's really far away from itself now that wasn't before? Oh yeah, Kabara is like its own island now. I mean, Kabara was always its own island on that continent anyway. The Talenta Plains are cut off as a separate space. So it doesn't share borders with Karnath at all. So the halflings and in their dinosaur riding, it's on its own, like it's on its own little world. If you don't mess with them, they're just going to keep doing Avatar, John Cameron's Avatar over there by themselves. Kabara too. I should think about connecting Kabara too. Like having them run into each other and grind together somehow. I don't know. I like them being separated currently, but oh no, that's not right. It's the Talenta Plains are connected to Dargoon. And since Dargoon is on its own nation, the warlord, they're basically on a reservation. They basically took a chunk of the Talenta Plains and made a reservation out of it for to keep the bugbear warlords on, and or hobgoblins. Sorry, they have like this Klingon samurai honor sort of vibe going, and they use scorpion ships and mammoths as their big ships, and they use shamanistic and ancestral magic to as their helm pilots. Like they'll summon a spirit of a past warlord and have them be the pilot of the ship. So you can shut down the ship if you can like banish or destroy evil, the pilot. I mean, someone else could take over, but that's just how they roll. I think it's fun. Yeah, Kabara's on its own. Talenta Plains and Dargoon are together. The Valinar is its own island, and of course they're elves, so they have all the elven, butterfly ships. So they still got that going for them. But they all have giant scimitar blades. You saw the cover of that. Hold on, we'll go back to the book cover. There, see, it's got a big scimitar as a slashing blade, and as a slashing. There's bludgeoning rams, there's piercing rams, and there's slashing rams. Slashing rams do triple damage instead of double damage when they hit. So they do shitloads of damage when they slice through your ship. It's a way to be able to allow yourself to have 4 or 5 ships in a fight and still have it only last 4 or 5 rounds of combat, because you're just, especially with like little fighter craft that are trying to like cloud around your ship, you can have a lot of fun with that stuff. But yeah, so Valinor is on its own rock. Zendrick and the dragon, the dragon world, whatever that dragon island, those are on their own separate islands. Oh, I mean, Zendrick's a continent. And then Arenariel, is that? I don't know what the hell it's called. Arenariel, whatever it is. Anyway, Bob's my uncle. It has it's its own continent island as well, like, you know, just a much bigger rock. But they're far. Zendrick, like if this is where Car. Why am I blanking the name? The nation. Anyway, Korath. Thank you. If that's at this elevation, then Zendrick is here, towards the core of the planet. And if this are these, this is where the dragons are. And like the core is here. So I should draw that. Surface. Zendrick is here. Dragons are here. Core. And then Sarlona is here. The further down you go, the more magic you get. And then the further up you go, you also get more magic, because then you hit the tiers of the tiers of Sybaris, which are all the asteroid belt of giant psionic crystals that orbit the planet. So Sarlona is super close to these psionic crystals. Crap, there's my timer. Super close to the psionic crystals. So they get all these psionic powers as Sarlonans do. So they have these different bands of elevation in the detonated world that lead to different adventures. And the characters in this campaign, when we finish the time travel one, the next one is going to be right here, where the dwarves and the warforged are. The two species, the dwarves are so fit for space, and the warforged don't even have to breathe. So they've started mining all of these crystals to deliver down past Sarlona down here, and Sarlona is pissed about it. So they're trying to defend their natural resource. Every time a massive crystal goes away, they lose a dreamer. So these guys are under serious threat from this crystal miner, because all their great spirits, all their great dreamers, are being banished back to the spirit realm and the dream realm. They'll never hear from them again. So, so big threats here. So the characters are part of a mining operation that, you know, kind of gets the risks, whatever. But they're there just to make money. I've talked about that before. But anyway, I just hit my hour mark. I wish I'd gotten further along, but I fucked up on the color, and you guys got me monologuing again. But by this time next week, we should be back to doing full color work, and full 2.5 hour blocks in the evening like this, and I'll be back to 2 hours in the mornings. I will be back tomorrow. We finally have an opportunity to rebuild and build a power kit for the Barbarian Path of the Giant that just came out with Big B Presents Glory of the Giants. So I know there's a lot of talk about giants and being big, and I've got things to say about it. So I hopefully be able to pepper in some of those thoughts during the process. Look at how they built the giants and how we'll rebuild it to work with the power system that we have available for folks to playtest. And then we'll add 3rd level, 6th level, 10th level, 3rd level, 5th level, 9th level, 13th level, 17th level. We'll add 2 powers per level, so you get your bonus powers, just like a paladin gets bonus spells. So you get 16 you get to choose for yourself, because you're your own character. You can build your own action loop sequence. But we'll give you a kit of 10 that are particularly appropriate to being that Path of the Giant, so that you might be able to pick up some stuff that you might not have otherwise ever bothered taking, but it's super on theme and flavor if we're lucky. So that's the goal. We're going to do that tomorrow at lunchtime, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, I'm out for the day. So thanks a lot, everybody, for being here. And thanks to everyone that reached out. I really appreciate everybody. And Nitro, you saved my ass on this one. I really appreciate your helping with color. So thanks a lot. Hopefully I'm only making mistakes when I have friends around. But God knows. God knows.